Woohoo! NBA Live before lock, August 2nd. I cannot believe it is August already, but that's not really all that important. What's important is we've got a ton of basketball to talk about. I am Josh Engleman. This is Awesemo.com's Live Before Lock, and I am joined for the first time on a show by Zach Brunner. Zach, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just trying to watch the Bucks. Hopefully they win. Wisconsin boy here, so
okay.
I'm holding out hope, even though I'm going to get crushed.
Well, I am a bit of a fan of Giannis today, so that's always good. We'll see where you end up. First and foremost, guys, hit the like button as you come in. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe to the channel. It helps us out tremendously for you to do all of those things. And if you want to sign up at Awesemo.com, use the promo code RESTART. Get yourself 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus. I just ran some crunches, but we just got an ownership update, so I'm going to dive in there. But let's just start with the big one. Draftkings ownership. Highest owned player for today, Jakob Poeltl. How do you feel about Jake Puddle as the chalk on DK?
I mean, it's not too terribly surprising just because he was kind of chalk before. We know, a lot of people think he's going to get the minutes. Again, Greg Popovich, who knows if he gets pulled in the first quarter and never comes back. But it doesn't seem like he has too much competition for minutes right now.
You would think. I don't know if that's just simply too highly owned. On my dummy crunch that I ran previously to the show, I came in pretty light, actually. Just to confirm, God, he's way down the list. Yeah, so I had 14% on the last run, which is a relative minimal amount. But I see guys like Brandon Clark, 4,200, essentially unowned compared to Jake Puddle. Daniel Tice, 5,100, 5% owned. Even someone like Troy Brown getting a little bit more ownership at 17%, 4,500. I think there are enough, or Zach Collins, who's also a little chalky. I think there are enough guys to pay down for that you don't necessarily have to go to Jakob Poeltl. Are you looking at any of these other guys in that 4K-ish range?
I definitely like Zach Collins still. I think he just has more upside. You see one of the Twin Towers from Portland goes down hurt, or there's foul trouble. We know Whiteside can get into foul trouble at any second. And I would be surprised if Poeltl, I guess, goes off today. I think he's going to hit value. It's going to be hard not to with minutes, but he's not going to blow up.
Sure. And obviously, if you're playing a cash game, feel free to slot Jakob Poeltl into your lineup immediately. That is a absolute no-brainer. For GPPs, that's where I think it gets a little squirrely. So the reason that he is as chalky as he is because we have a few guys north of 10K that you need to save a little salary for. Is your guy today James Harden? Is it Giannis? Is it Luka? I have a sneaky suspicion you're going to tell me it's Giannis, but where do you want to pay up today?
Right now, I've been playing up for Luka just because everyone's on Giannis. It makes the most sense. The spread's close, the total's high. We just saw what Houston did with, the Mavericks last game.
Sure.
But, do the Bucks need to try? It doesn't seem like they need to, but it seems like they are. So I'm going to take more chances than not, hoping that he plays 25 minutes or 30 minutes just because. But, he does seem like the guy to pay up for today.
Have they been trying, it's weird because they've obviously been trying all year and they sort of haven't needed to try either. I think he just continues to do the same thing that he did throughout the regular season, play somewhere in the 28 to 32 minute range at 1.8 plus fantasy points per minute. And he just goes crazy. I'm going to have a tough time getting away from him, although 50% ownership is probably going to make it at least a little bit easier to just offload to Harden and Doncic. 50% just seems crazy, but at the same time, who guards Giannis on Houston? What's the plan? Is that just Jeff Green? Is that the goal? Because that shouldn't be the goal.
No, it definitely shouldn't be. I would guess maybe Covington tries something, but it's going to have to be a group effort, and if he gets out in transition, I mean, there's nobody who can stop him in the league, really,
right,
one-on-one. So, and Houston's small ball. I mean, Giannis is the tallest guy in the court on top of it, so I don't know.
It's going to be a fascinating scenario. He might just have free reign to the rim. Could he go? He can put up. If I told you he had 40 and 20 today, would you even be surprised?
Not really. No. I mean, and I would guess maybe 10, 15 of those rebounds were from Harden's 3-pointers or something too.
So let's look at it on that opposite side. How do you feel about Russ and Harden in this spot going back against Milwaukee?
I like Harden. I just think anyone who's a 3-point shooter can have really good success against Milwaukee, especially if the tempo keeps picking up and going faster and faster. It's going to be a little tougher for Russ just because they do have shot blockers. They do have Giannis and Lopez's length in the lane to, disrupt them at least a little bit. But if I'm going to pay up for one of the Houston guys, it's going to be Harden.
Okay. It's interesting to see that they are both going owned in the same way. 25% for Harden on FanDuel, 26% for Westbrook, and then on DK it's 18 and 24. I mean, that is essentially the same. If I had to guess, I'd probably end up with a little bit more Russ just because he's easier to fit in. I think I'm more likely to have the combo of Russ and Giannis than Harden plus Giannis. I think that I just run out of salary too quickly the other way, but we shall see as these crunches move on. We have 53 minutes yet until lock. We've got the full slate to go through. So I want to hit you with this one. What's your favorite play of the day? Just full stop. Who stands out most to you on this slate?
We were talking about a little bit beforehand how I can never seem to play Karis LeVert right.
Sure.
But I really like him today. It just seems like he might get a little bit less under owned just because people saw his numbers last game, even though he got pulled because of that blowout.
Yeah.
But I mean, he has top play potential. It would take a lot. It would take a lot of the other guys to not play the minutes, but it should be a close game. It shouldn't be great basketball to watch, but it could be a lot of stats.
Yeah. Brooklyn, Washington is about as bad as it gets. Washington's defense was already legendarily bad during the regular season. I don't get the sense that it's going to be getting any better here. LeVert should be able to do whatever he wants. He's number 3 at his position for me on FanDuel, number 6 overall on DraftKings. I can't get away from a guy that should, in theory, shoot as much as he wants to over the course of an entire game. How do you feel about his partner in crime, Jarrett Allen?
Jarrett Allen, I think he's going to have good stats per minute.
Yeah.
He's another one of those guys where I just can't trust him to stay on the court because of fouls, because of anything else. But it's a great spot for him. I do think the Washington bigs are going to get a lot of action early on and probably go out at him and try to get him out of the lane. So it's going to be a spot I avoid more often than not, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes off.
Okay. Yeah, picking up 41% of ownership right now on DraftKings, 5,600. Do you have I guess this is a pretty good game for centers. Jarrett Allen, not even the most owned center in this game. That would be Thomas Bryant, 5,400 on FanDuel, 4,800 on DK. He's getting a lot of ownership. I'm a little nervous about Bryant and the rest of the Wizards just because of what they were doing in the regular season prior to the shutdown. They were kind of rotating through their centers, going for like a 2-on, 1-off type scenario. Do you think that Bryant's minutes are safe? Is there any chance that they go to one of the other 6 7-footers they have on this team, or in the realm of 7-footers? We've got Jan Mahinmi. Obviously, Mo Wagner can do there. I'm going to whiff on his name right now because Adam always says it as Pasa Sneaks, but I don't think that that's the proper pronunciation. So, AP we'll go with. Do you think there's any chance that they mix up their center rotation today?
There's definitely a chance. We know Bryant's been battling back from injury essentially all season long. So we don't know exactly how he responded to big minutes last game. It was kind of a surprise to see him play that many.
Yeah.
So, he could be tired legs. It could be rest him. It's not like they have something to play for. So maybe they try to put in Wagner or somebody like that, especially if Jarrett Allen goes out and they get more, the the Nets get more range on the floor.
Yeah.
They don't really need Bryant to go out there and guard everybody.
Oh, God, that game is just going to be an absolute disaster. It's going to make or break a lot in fantasy, and I have zero confidence whatsoever. Other than saying, I wouldn't be mad for having Karis LeVert and Jared Allen. If either one of those guys fully tank and it ends up being like a Tyler Johnson day at 3,200, I wouldn't be surprised. And then I'm sure I'll play too much Troy Brown like I normally do. That's a symptom of Washington slates. Anything else you want to touch on in Brooklyn and Washington? Anything that stands out to you? Any Chris Chiozza? Any Ish Smith? Jerome Robinson? Who knows? Oh, God, these teams are terrible.
I don't mind Chiozza just because he let everybody down last time, and he should get more minutes as long as the game stays close. But the other cheap guard I like is Ish Smith.
Okay.
He's going to get minutes. We know he's going to get minutes. He's going to put up decent numbers. He's a good cash game play. I don't know if I need him for tournaments, though.
Okay, yeah. And if you are playing Ish Smith, try to stick to just DraftKings there. He's 3,800 on DK.
Yeah.
5K on FanDuel. Probably not the price that gets it done for you. Let's see. What other games need to be touched on immediately? Are we waiting on any news for Brooklyn and Washington? We expect to get any of that before lock. Nothing that I can think of. We already know Jamal Crawford not playing. Can you think of anything that we would be waiting on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It seems pretty straightforward, and I think the lineups were released, so we should be good there.
Perfect. I guess we need to touch a little bit on Boston and Portland. I expect Portland to once again be going for it here. We saw Nurkic go absolutely crazy in a typical Nurkic game, filling up the stat sheet in every single category. His price is now a bit more reasonable for someone of his ilk, 7,500 on FanDuel, 7,700 on DK. Not really picking up a ton of ownership. Really, in this game, the only person that is into the 20s on either site is Zach Collins on DK at 3,400. What do you like coming out of this Boston-Portland game?
I really like Nurkic. He's one of my top tournament plays today. I just don't see many people from Boston being able to stop him. He's just huge. He can move. He can do pretty much anything. And, the rotation there of their bigs is a little bit confusing, maybe, but he should get the first crack at anything that they try to do.
My only concern is just how quickly his body rebounds after, playing an aggressive set of minutes his last time out. I think that those extra couple months off for the quarantine really do help him. He would have been coming back had we not paused the season, but I can't imagine he would have been in the same physical condition that he is after giving his formerly broken leg a bit of a rest. It wouldn't surprise me if his minutes took like a pretty big step backwards in this one. I think Portland's first game was a lot more important than this game against Boston. So I have Nurkic in for 31 minutes. I'll still get to some of him, but I won't go too crazy. I also wouldn't be surprised if this split ended up like 26-22 Nurkic and Whiteside, or, some additional minutes to Collins at the 5, just because I don't really see Boston as the type of team that I'm worried about. We know that Cantor can be out there against Whiteside. Those two will just cancel each other out in terms of playing zero defense and only looking for offense. But are you worried at all about Nurkic's minutes?
I would assume they'd come down a little bit just because Whiteside had 18 last game.
Yeah.
I think that was mostly because of fouls.
Yes.
But, assuming he stays out of foul trouble, you're right. I think he should be low to mid 20s, and those should come directly from Nurkic. So
they have played.
I don't mind it still, but yeah.
They have played Whiteside and Nurkic alongside each other. I can't see a scenario where that happens here. That seems impossible against Boston.
It would be a bad idea. I would say anything's impossible in the NBA, but yeah, it would be a bad idea.
Okay, so something to keep in mind there. Whereas you could have given a couple extra minutes to that trio of Collins and Whiteside and Nurkic. I don't think it's possible to expect Whiteside and Nurkic to play a single second next to each other outside of if they need like one specific rebound in the final 5 seconds.
Right.
How do you want to parse through Boston? Tatum was a little rusty in his first run out. Jaylen Brown is a lot cheaper on FanDuel than he is on DK, 6,200 to 7K. Hayward cheaper in that direction. Tice actually more expensive on FanDuel. And then we get Marcus Smart at 5,400 on FanDuel. He's a guy that I had quite a bit of their first game. Don't get the sense that I'll get there on DK. Are you getting to anything from Boston?
I'll play a little bit of Tice on DraftKings, and I have a tiny bit of ownership on Brown on FanDuel, but it's pretty much a situation I'm going to stay away from. I would assume Kemba's minutes come up a little bit, so that takes usage away from everybody else, and it's just not a fun situation.
Okay. Yeah, I just finished running my dummy crunch. If I'm getting anything on DK, most likely scenario is going to be Tice. I had a lot in the first run, or in their first game. If he's 5% owned, I expect to do that again. Nurkic, not exactly a great spot for him. On FanDuel, it's probably just going to be spread out. It's so hard to pick between these Boston. Well, it's so hard to pick between Brown, Hayward, and Smart to me on FanDuel, just because you never know who's just going to pop off as the other guy for the Celtics. I do want to say this. We've got 1,567 people in here right now and only 139 likes. I'm not okay with it, people. I'm simply not. It is Sunday. We're trying to give. You guys give us likes. That's what I want. Hit that thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. I've been really shilling for the likes as of late. It's been working. You guys have been fantastic viewers. Anything else you want to touch on for Boston and Portland?
I'm going to stay away from Lillard.
Okay.
Just because of that price. But yeah, nothing else.
Thoughts at 9K on FanDuel? That seems kind of reasonable to me.
It's reasonable. It feels like a McCollum game to me.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll have a little bit of FanDuel. I don't think I'll have any on DraftKings.
Okay. Yeah, DraftKings makes it pretty tough. It's just a lot easier. I mean, if you want to make that ownership pivot off of Westbrook, it makes a little bit of sense. But I have Westbrook significantly ahead of Dame, even $300 ahead of that price point. So not all that easy. All right. We need to hash through a little bit of this. We touched on Jakob Poeltl out of the gate. What are the Spurs doing with the rest of their team? Is it a Lonnie Walker day? DeJounte Murray day? Is Derek White going to go crazy again? Not very much ownership on DK. Is power forward DeMar DeRozan is a thing in the NBA regularly now? What do we do with the Spurs against Memphis? Memphis coming off a bit of a choke job.
It would be nice to get some news on Patty Mills, but I really like Derek White again. I know I wrote him up for a prop bet this morning on Awesemo. I think nice. He's going to get to shoot as much as he wants. He somehow gets rebounds, and he's great. He's a good player. Yeah. I don't know why the ownership isn't higher, but he's my top play, I think, from the Spurs.
Okay.
Even over Poeltl, mostly because of that ownership. But yeah.
I like Derek White on FanDuel quite a bit at 5,500. Something drags me to DeMar DeRozan. None of it makes me happy. That's another guy that I never get right. Famously, prior to coming to Awesemo, I had a full fade on DeMar DeRozan the night that he set his career high in points. So that one went really well for me. As per usual, it's really difficult to sift through the Spurs. So I think what we should do is take a little bit of a look at the Grizzlies. Jaren Jackson is the only person on this team picking up any ownership. I had a decent amount of Ja in their opener, which was terrifying in the first half. He rebounded quite a bit in the second half. What do you want to do with Morant, Clark? Is this a Joval game for you? Any DeAnthony Melton? I'm not really sure where to pin my hopes from the Grizzlies.
I like Joval quite a bit.
Okay.
He was in foul trouble that first game, and those lack of minutes did help Jackson a little bit.
Yeah.
He would have got minutes anyway. But I don't know what his ownership is right now, but I do like Joval quite a bit.
It's essentially zero.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, he is. It is zero on DK. It's essentially zero on DK. It's 4% on FanDuel.
Okay. I should probably get a little more. But yeah, I like him quite a bit. He can fill it up quickly, and I don't see Poeltl giving him issues by any means.
Yeah, so I would say I don't see Pirtle giving him issues. I think Pirtle is solid defensively. It's not like a good matchup or anything for Jonas. What's really interesting is if Pirtle gets into any foul trouble, because then Jonas Valanciunas really is going to eat the Spurs alive. They don't have anybody behind Pirtle that is going to slow down Jonas Valanciunas. So that's a spot where I can see if you can pick up 2 quick ones on Jakob Pirtle, I could see Jonas Valanciunas having a monster game, because it's not going to be Rudy Gay or Drew Eubanks slowing down Jonas Valanciunas. I'm quite positive of that.
Yeah, I almost wonder if the Grizzlies get into that same rotation without Joe Val if Pirtle does get in foul trouble, though.
Maybe. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Anytime, whether it's for the Spurs or against the Spurs, I am just not confident in either side of the coin.
No, definitely not. It's like the Patriots in the NFL. I don't know what's going on.
Because all of a sudden something's going to happen, and we're going to see Tim Duncan at the scorer's table checking in. They're going to be like, look, we were short a man for the quarantine, so Duncan's in, and he's going to go for 10 and 10 and lock down Joe Val. Obviously, guys, that's not going to happen, but it's the type of thing the Spurs would do.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Elzo in chat says, Rudy Gay revenge game. Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that he's not sweating his lifetime in Memphis.
No, I don't think so.
Just guessing. I don't think he cares at all. I bet his millions and millions of dollars soften the blow of formerly playing in Memphis. Pirtle hasn't even gotten 5 fouls in a game this year. Sure. I'm not saying that he's like particularly likely to pick up fouls, but when you are now the starting center and essentially the only center, those fouls become a little bit more important.
Yeah. He also hasn't played 30 minutes that often this season either.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to pick up 5 fouls when you're more often than not a backup playing 22 minutes a game. Orlando and Sacramento. This one, I don't know. De'Aaron Fox probably set up to go crazy again. Had a monster game in his first time out. Rashawn Holmes, massively popular on FanDuel, 28% ownership. Not massively popular on DraftKings, 4% owned. But the best play in this game, it happens in our presenting sponsor, which would be SuperDraft. And that would be De'Aaron Fox at 1.4x. If you want to sign up at SuperDraft, today would be a great day to do it. Go to superdraft.io, use the promo code Awesemo10, AWESEMO10. Get yourself $10 on your first deposit of $10 or more. Or is it $20 or more? I'm going to get that wrong off the top of my head. I feel like it changed. Give me 1 second. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want people to get the wrong amount of money. What you should do is deposit $100 because you're definitely getting $20 on that deposit. $10 on your first $10 deposit, $20 on 100. Deposit the 100. You're going to want to do that. Get yourself $20. You don't have to worry about salaries at SuperDraft. They have multipliers. So you can get someone like De'Aaron Fox 1.4x. So whatever he scores in fantasy points, multiply that by 1.4. That is the score that you will get. Now, if you were trying to get someone like James Harden, he doesn't have a multiplier. He's just at flat 1. Whatever he does, he does. You have the ability to use anybody you want. There's no roster restrictions. You can play NBA, MLB, PGA, MMA. NFL will be here soon enough. So go to superdraft.io or go to an app store, download the app. SuperDraft, no limits, more winning. Do you like anything in the Orlando-Sacramento game? I'm just going broad because I don't.
No, I definitely don't.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe Vucevic just to be a little different, but that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, it is wildly unappealing for reasons that I'm not entirely... I guess everybody's just sort of priced correctly. It's just a sea of dudes that are like 5,500 that can play like a 7K guy or a $3,500 guy, depending on the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know how to sift through that. Like I kind of like DJ Augustine on Orlando, but then I realize that it's DJ Augustine on Orlando, and I suddenly become way less enamored. Like, do you expect? Right. Is there anybody that you get like, I don't know, more than 20% of here?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't. And pretty much any time Orlando plays a game, I mean, they just want to slow it down, play a half court with their big guys, and it's an ugly game. So I pretty much never am excited to play a game, play from their game.
I get it. I really do. I don't have anything in large amounts coming out of that game. So unfortunately, I don't have much of that. Chat, do you have any specific questions for the Orlando-Sacramento game? We got about 34 minutes to go until we get to lock. Shout out to the 1,760 of you that are hanging out on this lovely Sunday. Hopefully my guys play well in golf. I'm still sweating a little bit of golf here. You mess with PGA DFS at all?
If I ever play it, it's pretty much just recommended plays. I don't, it would just be gambling at that point if I were to create my own lineup.
Okay, fair enough. Nothing wrong with a little gambling. Tyler Johnson starting, apparently, per the boss man in chat. Tyler Johnson, Karis LeVert, Joe Harris, Lance Thomas, Jared Allen. So no Chris Chiozza. Does that matter to you?
It doesn't matter. Tyler Johnson just continues to be an annoying player to me, but that's about it.
I'm not really sure I understand that one. You would think you would want Tyler Johnson to not be on the court with Karis LeVert more often than that.
Yeah.
How does this... Does that change anything to you on Chiozza? I guess at the very least he has to be a little bit less appealing.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a ton to love about him before, aside from his price. I guess I don't know how the rotation's going to go. I don't think he finishes quarters or the game, so I'm going to be pretty much full off him, I think.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way. I'm going to dial his minutes back a little bit, give Tyler Johnson an extra minute or two.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to figure out, is there a point? Tyler Johnson right now, 4,200 on FanDuel, 3,200 on DraftKings. I have to assume that Tyler Johnson's ownership is going to climb a little bit, at least in this next half hour. 14% owned on DraftKings, only $200 above the minimum. Does he become an interesting punt play now that he's starting, or is it worse now that he's starting?
I think it might be a little bit worse now that he's starting. I can't imagine his usage is going to be very high.
Right.
I don't know where the points are going to be. I think he picks up some rebounds and assists and steals, but yeah, I still don't love him, even if he plays, 22 minutes or so.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. Does this worry you at all for LeVert? Could Tyler Johnson be like LeVert kryptonite today?
Of course. Like I said, I'm playing LeVert, so probably. But
sure.
Maybe. I don't think Tyler Johnson's a great facilitator by any means, so I don't think he's going to set him up.
No, not at all.
So
if he had that ability, he would be on like 3 teams ago. But yeah, unfortunately, his skill set not great for, I don't know, being any good in the NBA. Sorry, Tyler Johnson. I don't mean to. You got paid, man. So I can only be so mad at you. You secured a bag with very, very little skill set just because of timing. So that worked out pretty well for him. I don't have anything else to add. I'm going to re-crunch now just because of that game, but I think that we can move it on. I think let's touch on the Phoenix-Dallas game a little bit. How are you feeling about Luka coming off of that first not awesome performance and a little bit of a choke job coming out of Dallas?
I think Luka's fine. Yeah. He didn't shoot well. I think he can shoot a lot better against Phoenix. I don't think he's going to see much resistance from Rubio. And then, the rest of his peripheral stats are going to be right above there. It's going to be a slightly slower pace at least, so maybe that means less turnovers. I think he had 8 last time. Yeah.
Was it 8? Yeah. Whew, that's rough.
Right.
1 for 9 from 3 as well. The step back just wasn't working.
No, and I think he's going to be better. I'm not too worried about him.
Okay. How are you feeling about Porzingis? Pretty big day in that last time out. went for 70 fantasy points, 13 of 26 from the field, 16 boards, 3 stocks, played 39 minutes. Porzingis, a guy you have your eye on?
I don't love him. I do think Ayton matches up with him pretty well, actually.
Sure.
So, I mean, the increased price now, and I think he might get to value. I don't think he has a insane game again. I mean, we're talking about he beat Houston, who plays no defense and had no one over like 6'7" on the floor. So it's not. Don't expect a repeat.
It's amazing that he picked up as many rebounds as he did, considering he's kind of an atrocious rebounder, generally speaking. But that's what happens when there's no one else out there, and it's like playing a junior high team if you're a senior in high school. You're just bigger than everybody else. Some of those, the rebounder too that Boban had when he was on the floor, hilarious. It was. I don't even want to say it was a man among boys because he's even bigger than that. It was like a giant among boys.
Right.
So much fun. How are you feeling about any of the bit players for Dallas? Any Tim Hardaway, Maxey, Dorian Finney-Smith, or the man that went absolutely crazy, Trey Burke?
I think Trey Burke was more of a product of Seth Curry getting in foul trouble. So I'm not too high on him. I like Curry on FanDuel. He's 42 over there. I don't really like him on DraftKings. I think he's 5K.
Yeah, he is. That's a bit too high on DK as far as I'm concerned too. So
yeah, but again, aside from that, I'm not too excited about these guys. It's gonna flow mostly through Luka and Porzingis. Hardaway, if he's hitting, he'll be good. He's gonna either blow up or flop. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, don't get the sense that I'm going to be getting there all that much. 4,200 for Maxey on FanDuel stands out to me as something that I'll probably get a little bit of. But most of my ownership will be on the Phoenix side, if I had to guess. Just sort of rotating through Ayton, Booker, Rubio, and Bridges. Dario Saric looked pretty good from a scoring perspective off the bench. I don't get the sense that we're going to see Aaron Baines here, but even if we do, I think it's minimal minutes. Anything interesting to you from the Suns?
I do like Saric. I like him. I definitely like him coming off the bench. I think that helps his usage a lot.
Yeah.
If he was somehow inserted into the starting lineup again, I would be less enamored with him, I guess. But besides that, I mean, you still got Rubio and Booker. They're going to be running the show, and I think they're priced right about right, unfortunately.
I agree. 8,100 on FanDuel for Booker is a price that I can get behind. People seem to already be there. The price that I really like the most out of anything is probably DeAndre Ayton on FanDuel at 8,100. Only 9% ownership. That might be a guy that I end up a little bit over on. I wish that I could get to more Luka. I just don't think it's going to be the case. I think that I'm going to end up on more Harden than Luka, but we shall see once this final crunch gets run. I'm just waiting on one additional run of ownership before I start that bad boy off. Anything else you want to touch on from a Phoenix and Dallas perspective?
I don't think so.
Oof. This is maybe not as appealing of a slate as you would want it to be.
No.
Giannis Extreme Chalk, Jakob Poeltl, Thomas Bryant, Jared Allen. Those are the 4 most owned guys on DK right now. Okay, here's the question. Jakob Poeltl, Thomas Bryant, Jared Allen. 3 guys, 40% owned or more. Which one of those 3 is the guy that kills lineups today?
It seems like Poeltl to me. If I have to guess, obviously he's not a high per minute guy anyway, but maybe he gets challenged a little bit today and gets pulled.
I'm going to say it's Thomas Bryant, and I say that as someone who usually gets a lot of Thomas Bryant. I trust the Wizards the least of those 3 teams, which is saying something considering Jakob Poeltl plays for the Spurs. I would not be surprised. I'm going to still have some Thomas Bryant. Let me be clear. I understand why he's getting ownership. I understand why all 3 of these guys are getting ownership. If you ask me which one is most likely to fail, I think it's Bryant.
I
This is just a scary slate at the top. Like Lonnie Walker is the 5th most owned guy on DK. I don't feel comfortable with that at all. Jaren Jackson at 32% ownership just screams, I'm going to get 3 fouls in the first 3 minutes. And just like everybody's going to lose their mind in our Slack chat, which is a premium function. If you sign up at awesemo.com, come hang out in our premium Slack chat. NBA channel gets pretty ridiculous from time to time. Alan Marga says, who takes his minutes if Pirtle is pulled? Yeah, I don't think the Pop knows the answer to that right now.
No.
Drew Eubanks?
Yeah, I don't
know.
I think they go small. I don't think they even try to replace his post presence at all. I think they just try to outrun him then.
Yeah,
But
I have no idea. Who knows? It'll be DeMar DeRozan at the 5 at this rate.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you like anything else from Milwaukee? Were you on Middleton or Brooke Lopez, DiVincenzo, George Hill, the returning Marvin Williams?
I like Middleton. I think he disappointed a little bit last game. He's going to get shots today. Playing Houston, it's going to be run and gun. And I would assume they try to swarm Giannis. So as long as Middleton's hitting shots, I think he has a big day.
Okay. I'm generally speaking always on Chris Middleton. He just permanently looks good, especially on FanDuel, although the ownership is already there. 6,900 is just a crazy price for him. He's had an incredible year. Anxious to see how much love he gets for all NBA team. Other guy picking up ownership in this game, Robert Covington, 5,900 on FanDuel. I understand it. 36% owned. It's the second most ownership of anybody in this game behind Giannis. That's more than Harden, more than Westbrook. Not sure I want that much Robert Covington in my life. No,
especially if he's the one tasked to cover Giannis. I mean, we could easily see a scenario where he picks up fouls quickly.
Yeah.
He's usually pretty disciplined, but I don't expect him to fill up the stat sheet by any means.
Well, I think we took a pretty solid lap through every single game. We've got 23 minutes until lock. 1,800 people in here. The likes have been huge. So anybody that's come in since I've last shielded for likes, please hit that thumbs up. It would help tremendously. Premium Slack, if you want to drop some questions in, we're happy to take them. YouTube, I'll try to sift through it as much as I can, but you guys ask a lot of questions really quickly, and by the time I see it, it might be gone. So I'll do my best, but we've got some time to take some questions. And then you should also just go sign up at SuperDraft, superdraft.io, presenting sponsor. You want to go play at that site. I highly recommend it. We've got the goods, projections on the back end from the boss man, Alex Baker himself. Thoughts on Whiteside? I have no interest today. Do you?
No, I can't trust the minutes, and he's not going to get enough minutes to get there for me.
Yeah, it's just not for me. Not at all. Let's see what else we've got. Thoughts on Isaac? That's an interesting one. John Isaac filled up the stat sheet in limited minutes in the return. I don't get the sense that they're going to just let him rip, so I have a hard time wanting to get there. Did you look at John Isaac at all?
I actually wrote him up in the Boom Bust article today, and he was a bust. So I mean, that's about how I feel about him. Yeah. And it's just because of minutes.
Yeah, 5,800 is just going to be too expensive for the amount of time he'll be on the floor. Premium Slack asked the question, thoughts on Brooke Lopez as a pivot from Thomas Bryant?
I actually like that.
Yeah, I mean, if Lopez is at 2% ownership, I think that's an easy place to go. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. And we can't expect a 6-block game again, but he's going to get opportunities to shoot. And, if you play Houston, if you're on their team or play against them and you can shoot 3-pointers, you're going to get your shots.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I in a large field GPP, I think that is a really smart move depending on the construction of the rest of your lineup. If you're leaning a little chalky already and you had Bryant fit in, Lopez is a natural pivot. He's just not going to get outscored by Thomas Bryant as frequently as that ownership implies. So Highly recommend going
Right.
that direction in a large field GPP. If it's small or cash games, absolutely not.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, what else do we got? Wow, we're getting Gary Trent, man. We are scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Any Gary Trent? Shout out to friend of the program, Ben Raza.
He was great last game. I don't think he gets that much space to shoot again tonight. So that's why I'm not on him.
I agree. Just can't be doing it. Kemba Walker going to show up? Yeah, Kemba's just not going to be out there enough. I haven't seen anything that he's like going to. I mean, I assume they slowly extend him as we get closer to the playoffs, but I don't think he's suddenly going to play big minutes here. 20 to 24 seems like the most likely scenario for Kemba.
Yeah, they said they'd gradually pick his minutes up. So yeah, I have him at 22.
Okay.
So.
What else we got? Is Tatum getting overlooked in a good matchup today? Probably.
Overlooking him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's really hard for me to think that someone with Jason Tatum's skill set and talent can get overlooked, but he probably is. I mean, he's going to be what? He's going to have to get guarded by Melo?
I think so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe. I think so. I just don't like his price.
Oh God, I think a matchup against Melo might transcend Bryce. I hadn't really thought about it, and I don't really ever look at that sort of I don't really care too much about individual matchups, but I don't really know what they can do to slow him down. Like, I don't think they have a single guy that's set up to guard Jason Tatum. Well, they do. He's just not in the bubble right now. It's Trevor Ariza.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. It has to be Carmelo guarding him. Because we already talked about how they're not going to play both Whiteside and Nurkic together.
No. And Zach, it can't be Zach Collins either.
No.
I assume Gary Trent doesn't want that job either. So, yeah, this could be a really big spot for Jason Tatum. Look, again, all of that makes sense on the surface, but these guys still have prices. And 8,200 on FanDuel, 8,200 on DK. Like he's priced like he should be. It's just really easy to see the path of Jason Tatum absolutely roasting Portland because they just don't have an answer for it. I'm intrigued by Jason Tatum right now. Now I kind of just want him to show up in more of my stuff.
He put up 36 points against them last time. I'm not sure if that's when they had Melo or not, but
what's the date?
See that scenario playing out.
Do you have the date?
I don't.
Let me see if I can find it. Where you hiding, Tatum? Oh, this might be really slow. That's what happens when you have two separate crunches running and you're up into 800 lineups. Okay, so they played on February 25th. By all accounts, Melo had to be on the floor for that, although they probably had Trevor Ariza as well. Still went for 47.5. So I think you should feel pretty okay having Jason Tatum. I wouldn't be mad about it, that's for sure.
No.
We did get a super chat a couple of minutes ago from James Morrison. So thank you very much for that super chat. The question is, favorite FanDuel plays? I'm in the middle of that crunch right now. LeVert, Giannis, Russell Westbrook, De'Aaron Fox, Covington, Troy Brown. All these guys are showing up a lot in my dummy crunch so far. Are you a FanDuel player, or did you look at FanDuel today?
I looked at FanDuel. I definitely lean DraftKings more, but Middleton's great on FanDuel. He's priced down a lot. We already talked about Lillard. He's definitely more interesting over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, same plays that you just said.
We got an ownership update at Awesemo 2 minutes ago, so go ahead and grab that if you've been waiting for it. 15 minutes rather until lock. Not like you can get away from it right now. So what are you thinking of the spread out slates across the full day? Do you like it? I assume from an entertainment perspective, we're all on the same page. How do you like it from a DFS perspective? Do you like being attached to the computer all day?
From DFS perspective, I don't like it, but it does create another layer of strategy if you wanted to load up on later games and stuff. There might be people that just don't have exposure to any of them.
Yeah, you do. It's paramount right now that you are available throughout the day to be able to make changes. You shouldn't be assuming at all that the lineup that you enter at lock is the lineup you end up with in the end. I mean, it more likely than not will be, but you have to be ready if value opens up or value goes away to be able to move some pieces around as news breaks, because these games are spread out by hours upon hours. You don't want to miss an opportunity to make your lineup better just because you're not around anymore. Like, if you're playing it, get in it. Otherwise, I would say focus on individual slates, just earlies or just night slates, instead of just hanging yourself out to dry. Let's see what else we have coming in here. Any Bonga today? That's a question.
I don't.
No, same.
He's going to get minutes again, but not exciting minutes to me.
No, I'm just more likely to throw all of my stupid exposure at Troy Brown and hope he does something.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Any DiVincenzo or Hill?
I don't have Hill. DiVincenzo is interesting just from I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but if there's a foul trouble, maybe Middleton picks up a couple fouls. Obviously, it's going to be a huge opportunity in a pace in a game like that.
Yeah, I don't get the sense that I'm going to be having much out of either one of those guys, but we'll know a little bit more shortly. I'm 100 lineups short of my FanDuel crunch, and we get to finish off DraftKings. 13 minutes to go. It's weird. I don't have like my fantasy cruncher sea legs under me right now because of being gone for so many months and then transitioning back into golf, a sport that you don't need like on-demand lineup crunching. I haven't had a live before lock where I'm crunching a ton of lineups and hoping I get it in 13 minutes. I kind of miss it. I miss the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
It's kind of the worst, but also the best. James Young with the question, sure. Bum A or scrub B? Yeah, that does kind of feel like the way that some of these questions come in. Oh, great plug in YouTube chat, by the way. Shout out to El Negro Loco. You should make sure you're checking out his live blog on Awesemo.com. As news breaks, he's dropping it in there. So we're trying to keep track of everything that's going on in the NBA DFS space throughout the day. And our boy El Negro Loco is picking that up throughout all of it. He's the one that's dropping all of the news into our Slack channel 24/7. I don't know when this dude sleeps, because it doesn't matter what time of the day it is. If a lineup comes out, whether it's Korean baseball, American baseball, the NBA, he's dropping links into our chat. Valuable resource for us, guys. Give him some love in chat as well. Let's see. Is Greek a lock? Is Giannis a lock?
Yes, unless you want to be a little bit different. For cash, he's for sure a lock.
Yeah.
But tournaments, there's other superstars at least around the same price. Yeah. You can pivot off of them.
Yeah, to me, there's no real way to get away from him in a cash game.
No.
Luka is basically Harden. Yeah. He is Awesemo's version of Woj. Yes. The news god is Awesemo's version of Woj, but better. James Young, today isn't a balanced lineup kind of day. Today you're going to need some of the high scores on the slate to cash in GPPs. Are you looking more from a balance perspective or from a stars and scrubs perspective today?
I usually like to do balance, but I just kind of defaulted to stars and scrubs today.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, there's so much bottom of the barrel value, like in the 3K range, especially on DK. It's easy to fit in two superstars.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Just seeing my ownership right now, I assume that I'm leaning more in that direction. God, there's so much Troy Brown. It's so uncomfortable to see. One of these days it'll work out correctly for me. Anything coming out of your lineup construction? I know we have 10 minutes left. Anything you weren't expecting, or anything you want to get into in terms of like guys you're heavier on than you weren't anticipating?
I'm heavier on Lonnie Walker than I would have liked to be.
Okay.
He just keeps popping up, and yeah, he's going to find his way into too many lineups, I think. I'm going to have to manually get him out just because, Patty Mills is out, so he should be a lock. He should be fine with minutes, and Memphis isn't going to give him troubles. But besides that, it's pretty basic today, I feel like.
Chris DeMarco, thoughts on Troy Brown on FanDuel? You came to the right place if that's somebody you want to play, because I'll certainly give you that rec. All right, DraftKings Crunch is done. It's probably a little bit more Daniel Tice than I need, but I don't hate these exposures all that much. That's a lot of Brandon Clark. Let's dial that one back a bit. I don't think that I need 46% Brandon Clark is probably not necessary right now.
No, probably not.
40 is probably a little high. 37 probably still a little high. We'll get there when we get there. 28. That feels a little bit more reasonable. But what's the unintended consequence of that? Daniel Tice looks like he's the unintended consequence, flying up to 40s in ownership. Let's walk that back a bit. See, it's all twisting the dials. I hope everybody's happy that I got my spreadsheets back on the screen. You get to see me sharing my stuff again today. I'm happy to have it up here. Let's see, any more questions? 8 minutes to go. Doncic 70 tonight. That would be fun to see. Okay, here's a either or for you. Jared Allen and Troy Brown, or Thomas Bryant and Rudy Gay?
I think I'm going to stick with the Wizards.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go, as much reluctantly, but yeah.
Okay. I think that I would take Jared Allen and Troy Brown there. So I think we're on opposite sides of the fence. Super helpful for the people that ask, but
you're welcome.
I really like Jared Allen today. I'm going to trust that he can be on the floor. So that's my stance there. Oh God, am I really going to go to Zach Collins again today? I guess I am. All right, let's get these DraftKings lineups in before I don't. With 7 minutes to go, so many people have already seen me scramble to get lineups in, or fail to get lineups in, where I just played crap clear across the board because I didn't move fast enough. Are you a 150 max player? Are you a 3 to 5 max type player? How do you like to approach slates?
I don't do the 150. I think I'm going to build up to that, but
sure.
Yeah, I usually run lower tier lineups.
Gotcha.
Stress over just multiple, like just a couple ones, and then say, hey, if I had one more lineup, I could have crushed it. That's how I am.
That was me forever, and then I ended up here, and Alex made me want to play 150 lineups, so I put the time in, and now I can't imagine it. Just because I love having at least, hopefully, one shot to sweat someone decent, and otherwise, sometimes you can know your night is over by the end of the first quarter, which is depressing sometimes.
Yeah. Had a couple of those.
6 minutes to go. DraftKings lineups for me are in. FanDuel lineups are in the process of being in. I probably would have liked to make a couple tweaks to my FanDuel exposures, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So I'm going to rely on the data for right now and hope for the best. Let's get this uploaded. We could take our last couple either or type questions once I get this stuff in here. Otherwise, this was it's a pretty, I don't want to say easy slate, because I don't think that there's a lot of clear, you should fade this guy, you should play this guy type stuff from a GPP perspective. It's kind of just like innocuous. There's nothing that stands out to me as a guy that I like that I'm surprised people aren't on.
That's fair.
Yeah, like nobody just jumps off the page as wow, like I really love this guy, but it doesn't seem like the public does.
Mm-hmm.
Other than, I don't know, the amount of Brandon Clark I appear to be getting, but
Yeah.
it's neither here nor there. 5 minutes to go, guys. 525 likes. I appreciate you. If you haven't hit that thumbs up yet, I wouldn't be mad if you did it right now, but I appreciate you guys getting it to 525 nevertheless. Oh, man. Anything else we need to touch? Any news coming in? Anything else we want to touch on? I don't see any news.
They gave a very broad minute limit for Kemba. They just said 17 to 23, so nothing we aren't surprised about.
Well, he's definitely playing, I guess, so that's always good to see. That's what you like. Looks like I got a lot of Jared Allen on FanDuel. Brandon Clark, pretty big stand on Maxey. It looks like I'm paying down more at power forward than paying up. A little bit over the field, but that number's, I think it'll probably end up being pretty neutral to Giannis. Good bit of Ja, good bit of De'Aaron Fox. Feels like I'm chasing. And looks like I'm leaning a little bit more towards Russ instead of James Harden on FanDuel, which is what I kind of expected. Talking about Cespedes being missing? Like missing? Cespedes disappeared? Has he been found? I realize this isn't an MLB Live Before Lock show, but people don't normally go missing while I'm live.
Right, yeah. I feel like this should be bigger news.
Yeah, I hope he's been found. Jeffrey Burkett, what are your thoughts on Ja Morant? I had a lot of them opening night, and it looks like I'm going to be going that same direction again today. One of my higher exposed players overall. Any thoughts on Ja? Do you want to tell me I'm an idiot? I wouldn't blame you.
I had a lot of them opening night as well. And he got hot down the stretch. Today, I'm not on him. He's another one of those guys where I looked at his price and said, yeah, that's where I probably would have put him. So.
Okay, so Cespedes is just straight missing. Didn't show up to the game, and no one knows. So no more joking around. I hope that he's okay. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's absolutely terrifying. Who else is all in on Karis LeVert with me? That would not be me. Not from an all-in perspective. Who's your most exposed player today? Who's the guy you have in more than anything?
Let's see. It's Giannis.
Okay.
Just by a little bit. LeVert's next though. Yeah,
okay.
I don't feel great about it, but yeah, he is.
I get it. I'm relatively neutral to the field on LeVert on both sites. So that's kind of where I want to be. You know, I don't trust him. I don't trust myself with my exposure to him. So I'll hold hands with the rest of the field and hope that I get it right elsewhere. Thomas Bryant looking to be a big fade for me on DK, as is Lonnie Walker, as is Jakob Poeltl. So doesn't feel great to be on the opposite side of three of those giant cash plays, but it will if they die. I don't mean like literally die. I just mean like not play well, guys. I know the Cespedes timing makes it sound a little weird. Let's see. Any final question? Oh, the Mets are in Atlanta, so there are some chicken wing jokes being made for there. That's probably not the best timing, but I get it.
Yeah.
Player with the highest FanDuel points. I don't think it's possible to pick anybody other than Giannis.
Right. Yeah. If a game's close and he plays, his normal minutes, he's going to destroy.
Like, obviously, it can be someone other than Giannis, but I have a hard time predicting someone other than Giannis. I have him projected well north of 60 fantasy points. I don't have anybody else north of 60 fantasy points. That's the same story for Alex as well. So, yeah, it's just got to be Giannis there. He might do it in 27 minutes. That's how crazy he is. Are you going to be watching this first game, Nets-Wizards?
Yeah. Last time he played Houston, I think he had a 30-point triple-double in 28 minutes. So he doesn't need to play high minutes.
Zach, I know you're talking. I don't want to cut you off. I lost you in my ears. So
okay,
I'm going to find headphones for the next minute while we take a quick look at ownership for Brooklyn and Washington.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I can't hear you at all. Nothing. No audio. I assume everybody else can hear you. Let's try this.
Hello?
Maybe I can hear you now?
Can you hear me right now?
Yes, we're back. Yeah, all of a sudden my AirPods just died, which I looked over at my screen with like the preview window of it. I knew you were still good because I could see the bars bouncing. And I was just like, all right, well, hope for the best here. All right, so we're back in business, or at least I'm back in business. This only affected me, and nobody cares whether I'm affected or not. So let's take a quick look at the DraftKings exposure or ownership for the Brooklyn-Washington game, and then let's get out of here. Let's see if there's anything crazy. I'm opening up the mini-max just because I have it in front of me right now. God, that tournament is the bane of my existence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Mini-max exposure. Whew. Okay, so Thomas Bryant, 37% owned in the mini-max. Karis LeVert, 37. Jarrett Allen, 35. So we're all in the same general area. Here's a big one. How do you feel about Ish Smith, 28% owned on DK in the mini-max?
That surprises me. I thought he would have been probably low 20s. It makes sense, I guess, in a way. He's more of a cash game play, I guess, though.
Yeah, I came in a little bit under that number. 3,800, it's not going to hurt you all that much if you have him and it doesn't go very well. But there is certainly a path for Ish Smith to just be wildly uninvolved in this game.
Yeah. Where did Tyler Johnson come in at?
That's a great question. So the only other person here's everybody in double digits. Bryant, LeVert, Allen, all mid-30s. Ish Smith at 28. Tyler Johnson, 21% owned.
Wow, okay.
I have half of that, and I think that's about where I would want to be. Because the dude, again, he's 3,200. You're not going to be hurt all that much. I'm just not sure that him being in the starting lineup is going to be a majorly positive benefit for him. I'm not sure I like that.
I don't think it's a benefit for anybody.
No, agreed.
Anyone involved.
Troy Brown, 20% owned. I'm a bit over that. It was just going to happen no matter what. Shabazz Napier, the only other person in double digits, 12.5%. Did you get to any Shabazz Napier?
Yeah, I think I was less than that. Okay. But I definitely played him. I think if he's hitting his shots, this court is one of those courts that benefits shooters. They say it looks a lot smaller in there. So people think they can shoot from anywhere. And if he's hitting his shots, he's going to be good today.
David in chat, Josh, please watch Wizards basketball, man. Ish Smith is not going to put up a 0. I say that Ish Smith was going to put up a 0?
I don't think so, but now you know.
Yeah, I have Ish Smith in 15% of my lineups. It's not that I think he's going to put up a 0. It's the Wizards. They have no incentive to actually play Ish Smith, or really any of their players at this point. Mm-hmm. That sort of chalk on the Wizards makes me a little nervous. That's all. Joe Harris, 5%. Chris Chiozza, 5%. Garrett Temple, 4%. Kuruks, 3%. TLC, 2%. Isaac Bonga, 1.5%. I don't know. There's not much. I don't think that we're seeing anything here that we're missing. I think that's about it. Apologies for besmirching Ish Smith's name there. I said that he was going to put up 0, word for word. I don't remember saying that. I misspoke then.
I think you said there's a path where it could happen, which
maybe I said where he is a 0. That doesn't necessarily mean that I think that he puts up 0 points. Just that he becomes a non-quality value play for you. But ultimately, I still have him 15%, and lock has already happened, so there's nothing I could do about it anyway.
Yeah.
If you're still here, please hit the like button. Thank you for joining us. Use the promo code RESTART. It ends tomorrow. 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus. You can get access to everything we have: NBA, MLB, PGA, NASCAR, MMA, esports. I'm probably missing a sport. We have it. We've got projections. A lot of sites, or a lot of sports, we have ownership. All sorts of tools. Lineup builder. You could add Fantasy Cruncher as an add-on. FC Pro once you're there. Tons of stuff that you can get your hands on for DFS. So use that promo code RESTART. And I think that's it. Zach, it was fun doing the show, man. We are going to be the duo every Sunday.
Oh, works for me.
I like it. I hope we're the duo every Sunday. I think that was a fantastic show. 1,700 people, almost 1,800 people wanted to see what we had to say on a Sunday. You got to love it. Zach, anything else? Anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here?
Good luck today. I mean, today is a weird slate. Hopefully something, I don't know. It's a weird mixture of clarity, and I'm completely lost.
Well, there you go. Guys, thank you so much. Best of luck in your lineups. Pay close attention to El Negro Loco's news blog on Awesemo.com. Be in premium Slack if you're a sub, just in case news pops. But glue yourself to Twitter for the rest of this day. You do not want to miss any news. Make sure you're ready to make some changes. Best of luck, guys. We will talk to you again later on.